Hi, so I wanted to do a video about these fact checkers. There's a lot to say about them. I had a recent experience that made me just fed up, and I had to do a video about this. I'm calling out these fact checkers for not using facts. For example, my latest experience is probably the best one to use. So there's this nurse that wore a camera in a hospital to bust the New York hospital, I forgot what it's called, in doing some horrible things to their patients. And she didn't think anybody would believe her, so she videotaped it, which you should never do as a nurse, but she figured this was important enough because people are losing their lives. So she wore a camera, and she videotaped facts. She had videotapes of facts, documents, and even people without their fucking permission, excuse my language, to prove what was happening. And of course, when you look it up on Google, you have a whole page of fact check and debunked. I'm like, well, how could that be debunked if she has proof? That is interesting. So usually when I see stuff like that, debunked, I just, I shouldn't be that way. Well, I'm not that way if it's something that's important, but if it's something I really don't care about, then I just don't even investigate any further because it's not worth my time. But I was like, really, it was debunked? How is this debunked? She has proof. So I did some research, and even though most of the stuff on there says debunked, I got really frustrated when I found out it wasn't really debunked. And I'll explain. For example, what they always do is they try to sell their fact-checking abilities by saying that they're not biased or whatever, or they gave them consideration or whatever. And this one dude, he made it sound so good, like, oh yeah, I was all for this, for this chick at first, and then I realized she was just insane. Okay, and I'm like, he said there's so many things that prove that she was this was debunked. I'm like, okay, well, so I listened to this long video of nothing but him pointing out stuff like, he was discrediting her. He was attacking the character. This isn't about her as a person, because you can think of what you want with her. What she did was not supposed to be done. But the point is, the facts that she brought to the table have not been debunked. Still have not been debunked. He was attacking her character on multiple different levels. And I've noticed this a lot with fact checkers. They will use logic and reasoning, which is pretty good for investigation and figuring things out. But when you're calling something a fact check, you should use actual facts. Actual raw data. Actually, I want to have a whole YouTube channel called Raw Data, because there's many things that have been blown way out of proportion because people don't look at raw data anymore, and they should. And that's the problem. People are walking around ignorant and spouting off things they know nothing about because they've been convinced of stuff through reasoning and logic of someone else's ability. And they are very good at convincing anyone that what they have to say is true, and make you believe it. But the truth is, if there's no facts, it's all speculation and bullshit, usually. And here's the thing. Why would they do this? Okay, well, some of the fact checkers, actually, they think they're doing a service. They believe what they're saying. But the problem is, Google and big companies like news media have something called government contracts. Okay? And when you have a government contract, you sign a disclosure agreement. And if you break that disclosure agreement, you go to prison. And they're paid by the government to have controlled opposition for whatever the government does not want you to know. Or whatever. It's not just the government itself. I'm talking about special parts of the government. Just the parts of government that really shouldn't be there. I'm not talking about the whole government. I'm just saying certain sections of the government will say, hey, Google, we don't want you, we want you to steer your audience a certain direction. So they'll put debunked for 3 pages on something they don't want you to believe or think. And if it's something important, look into it and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's just opinions Speculation, they call stuff conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory if there's facts to back up the fact that it's actual conspiracy going on. I think people forgot what conspiracy theory even came from. Okay, actual conspiracy is when something is going on that is not right. And they call it conspiracy theorists like it's a bad name. Now, it's not conspiracy theorists if you have actual facts to back up your theory. But it's still conspiracy theory because it hasn't been proven in court of law, unless it has. But the thing is, yeah, you really should do your research and stop spouting off stuff like you know what you're talking about if all you have is Google saying debunk, debunk, debunk. Or just don't judge from what Google or news media says, because news media has been lying big time about other things like the Maricopa County thing. I did a video about that. So, yeah, this is me calling out the fact checkers for not being actual fact checkers. Stop it. Okay? I've had enough. So here it is. I'm done.